Once again, as going through all my old crap to be thrown out, I find a few more hidden gems. A lot of these things are now from middle school instead of kindergarten and elementary school, but I had a few things interesting. First one says, "Prompt me to write." This was not exactly middle school because the dates are July, but it was between, but based on the dates, it's between July, between 5th and 6th grade. And it says, if I was what would you do if with $1 million? If I was given $1 million, I'd probably use it to help endangered animals and start a Pokemon amusement park. This is, as you can clearly see, this is the transition from this is due to Animal Planet. This is, I'm laying down the groundwork of what I would do later on. But I'd buy 100 acres of land around the world in countries that have endangered animals. Then I would hire people to work hire people who would know how to work with these animals, so they would have a safe place to live and grow. Some of the money would go for travel expenses, so I can check on the animals' care. The rest of the money would go to building an amusement park. I would hire a builder construction rides and find someone to create the Pokemon characters to be life-size. I think the park would be built in Connecticut. That's how I'd spend my millions. Looking at a lot of this stuff, obviously I don't know how the concept of $1 million is, or should I say, not just how big it is, but also how small it is. Knowing what I know now, that clearly is more likely if I had $1 billion. Got a couple zeros around there. Move the decimal point a little bit further to the right. And a couple extra zeros in there. Now this is a book that I wrote in this is all once again in middle. This is now back in elementary school. This is 96. It's called, we got Norman Rockwell. I think the idea was that what I was doing, the assignment, I had to, based on this, I have to, what the runaway is. And then we have, that's everything started. And I said, the runaway. This book is dedicated to Mom, Dad, and Amanda. The runaway. Hi. I'm Robbie. I am running away. I'm running because Mom and Dad bossed me around. Reality is I should have run away for something completely unrelated to that. But I probably should have been running away. I have my dog's scarf, and I found another scarf to wrap all my things. My cat Biscuit was in his cage. How could I ever fit the cat in the scarf? I'm running. I have my dog's scarf, and I found another scarf and used it to wrap all my things I wanted to bring. My cat Biscuit was in his cage. How could my cat ever fit in the scarf? I walked around carrying Biscuit. I found a diner and was very hungry. I ate all the food in my scarf. There was nothing left. I went to the diner and asked the waiter, could I have some grilled cheese? Could I have a grilled cheese sandwich? He said yes. A policeman came while I was eating. He asked me, where do you live? I said, I'm not going to mention any details. This is my address at the time. He said, what is your phone number? Blank. Again, blank, not going to mention any details. I answered. He asked me, what is your name? My name is Robbie. He asked me, how many miles is it from your house? I answered, again, this is just total nonsense, 6,002 miles. And I don't know how I got that number. Probably like a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old walking, an 8 or 7-year-old walking 6,002 miles with only everything basically just a little scarf thing. With enough food, you'd probably be dead. Probably, I don't know. From, I guess it was South Windsor, I probably would have ran out of steam not much past Hartford. Well, maybe I might be able to make it to Middletown, but that's like 10 miles. Middletown or Glastonbury or something along those lines. That's like 10, maybe 15 miles. That'd just be one day. I'm pretty hungry by the end of that. He took me home in his police car the same miles. I told him it's a long ride and a long walk. Okay. Now this is again more professionally done and done with some semi-sense. Again, because it's done by adults instead of a kid. And although apparently a kid these days can run a nation. So this next scenario is about the second. This is a second round of YMCA, Indian Valley, Greater Hartford YMCA interviews. This is for their Connections, the YMCA of Greater Hartford 2000 annual report, but done like a lot of these things to prepare this properly. They did this in the fall of 1999. So being there, bringing first impressions from YMCA members, volunteer staffs, and discovering YMCA Raiders. This is an interview that was again done with YMCA. I came to the YMCA when I was in the 3rd grade. My mom took me to see a YMCA musical production of The Sound of Music, and I liked it a lot. So I asked my mom to find out what theater classes I could take at the YMCA. Mom, Robbie's doctors have encouraged me to dispose into theater to better understand human communication. Robbie is very articulate for a child with autism. Actually, he's more talkative than most children of his age when addressing adults at least. And that's actually something that's been problematic throughout my entire life. Well up into high school. In high school it was a little bit different. I could probably communicate with adults as well as young children, but it was kids my own age. It was a pain in the butt. But I feared he would not fare well in regular theater class, as he has tremendous difficulty related to other children. In fall of 1996, Sarah Dumas, theater instructor, I'm assuming that because it's written the same way as Alexander Dumas. Agreed to take on Robbie as one of her students in a 7-week course as she was teaching fantasy, a course called Fantasy Theater. Me again, Fantasy Theater taught me how to mime and do improv. I liked it so much that I signed up again and again and again. Robbie ended up re-enrolling for the rest of the year. He just loved it. Sarah understood that on occasion Robbie needed his own space because he could not participate with in-group activities. By the end of the year, Robbie had a sense of confidence that would not have developed but for his ability to participate in fantasy theater. In the summer of 1997, the YMCA put on Peter Pan. After seeing this, again, I told my mom, again, brackets, this is I, again, brackets, wanted to be in a YMCA play. I called, again, mom, called Karen Swanson, the program director, that's in brackets in the interim, and asked her whether she thought the YMCA would be willing to give me a chance. She said she was very enthusiastic about it, and that's what what got me started in again, this is mom talking in the interview, and back to me now. My first full-length play was A Christmas Carol. When I was in the 4th grade, I had 2 roles. First, I was the Wind. I wore a white sheet outside of Scrooge's window. I said in a very scary voice, Ebenezer, Ebenezer, Scrooge. Then I played the fiddle in a later scene, and I just said, here I am. Because at that time in school, I was learning the violin through their program aspect. I was learning the violin, although towards the end of the school year, and at that time, I was trying to transfer over to cello, which was a little bit better for me. In the summer, I was in Oliver. In this play, I had 3 roles, and one of them was an orphan boy sitting next to Oliver. The second role was, the first role was in the orphanage, where I was just basically, I was an orphan boy sitting next to Oliver. The second role, I was one of Fagin's boys, a pickpocket. Then my main part, which is where I was actually assigned, was just 3rd man, and which was it in the last scene where everyone was looking for Fagin and Belle Sykes. I got to shout, "Come out, Fagin!" Then everyone said, "We want Fagin! We want Fagin!" In the 5th grade, I starred in the best Christmas pageant ever. I only had 1 role in this play as Elmer Hopkins, the minister's son, but I had 15 lines of dialogue. And I still actually know some of those things today. I don't want to be a shepherd. Gladys Herdman, it's too hard. I like YMCA theater. I have good memory for learning lines. Yeah. The first two plays in, I've memorized my lines right off the bat. Everyone tries hard. It is fun to learn the songs and learn lines at the same time. Once I do 5 years, this is actually interesting. Once I do 5 years of theater, both in Paul and Summerlin, I will earn my award. That's actually something I thought. What I did not know at the time is by that point, towards that like 5-6 year scenario, a new director would take over. And what I found out about last year when I was living with Mom for my internship, and I sort of just brought up some old, I was just doing some YouTube stuff for Oliver, mainly, you got the bigger bucket or two, boys. I found out the truth behind that, the last 2 plays I was supposed to be in. The last musical, summer musical I was in, and it's supposed to be at least. I was in one musical 1 year, and then I had to drop out the next one. I had nothing those 2 times, but I found out that was because the person who took it over had a clear pattern of abuse of power. Her daughter got the best part, and all of her daughter's friends got the powerful parts, including at that time a school rival that I had from entertainers. She was given. Now I knew where I fit in by that point. I knew the fact. Was I looking for the big leads? No, I had the whole. My singing voice has actually its limitations, but it was good with dialogue, so it was after those parts. But I was assigned menial paperwork effectively, unlike Miss Beth, who obviously was who directed Oliver and directed Annie, is a good. Miss Karen is a good producer. They make me feel welcome, like I belong. Yeah. I know you're out there. I know the person running it for Grease. I know you're out there. And I know you're watching. Kind of look at me now of what I'm about to become, and look at what happened in the past. Now, this is the actual article that this interview was based on. And there I am with Mom. This is again a few years later. Take a walk back in time. Picture yourself struggling with friends, struggling in school with no friends, never invited to a party. Compound this with sadness that this was happening not because of something in your control, but because of a condition called autism, which is absolutely true. I was absolutely bullied in this time. Again, I wrote a memoir about that. This was the life of Robbie Stoyanovich. They got this part wrong. They said Vernon. No, I was a student at, I was living in South Windsor. In fact, it does mention it correctly based on the article that it was Timothy Edwards Middle School of South Windsor. But due to the way they set it up, the people from South Windsor go to the Vernon branch of the Greater Hartford YMCA, which is called Indian Valley. So again, this was the life of Robbie Stoyanovich of bracket South Windsor until he found the YMCA. Robbie's mother, Beth, explains that when her son was 6, she was diagnosed with with Asperger's syndrome, also known as high functioning autism. Warning: today, all that scenario is just a sort of is under the umbrella diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. That was the call from the higher ups, and that's just what it's called today. That he could speak but could not relate to other people, carry on a conversation, make eye contact. Actually, carrying on a conversation, there's a caveat. Even in those days, I could carry on a two-way conversation, but the question is, would it be quote-unquote productive, intelligent? That's a different question, actually. But I have met people who you couldn't do that, actually. Let's carry on. And furthermore, how long would that conversation go on? That's another caveat. But I could not make eye contact. Furthermore, understand the subtleties of human communication, and furthermore, just not understand the unwritten rules of social human play. That's been problematic for decades. Doctors recommend that Robbie take part in theater programs where he could practice communication in a non-threatening atmosphere. This was where the Indian Valley YMCA began to change his life. After seeing the branch's 1996 Youth in the Limelight production of The Sound, Robbie was hooked and shortly after enrolled in the Wise Fantasy Theater under the loving guidance of the program's director, Sarah Dumas. Again, I'm assuming that's what the scenario because of Alexander Dumas. He had to make progress. He learned to pretend to growl like a tiger, be playful like a kitten, happiness like a newborn baby, and be helpless like a newborn baby. He was also introduced to concepts of empathy, something that my mom described as a foreign language to autistic people, and a language, and from another as a language from another universe is to us. That's interesting, Mom. Robbie loved the program, took part in each of its 7 week sessions during the school year. He gained confidence to participate in the YMCA's fall production of A Christmas Carol. I should note, whenever the Y did their fall productions, that was always Christmas orientated, because after weeks and weeks of rehearsal, weeks and weeks of preparation, blah blah blah, by the time they actually get to the formal production, it's December effectively. So it's always holiday themed. His mom had his doubts, but the program director, Karen Swanson, encouraged her to give Robbie a chance, and a star was born. Robbie memorized the entire script, playing the role of the wind, calling out. It's actually Bonnie, so, in an eerie voice. Play, Robbie went back to Fantasy Theater, where he was needed to as an alumnus star pupil. For the first time, Robbie felt like success. Since then, Robbie has participated in several more YMCA plays, growing confidence, not so much making friends, which they say, and for the first time being an asset to the group. Robbie even got to that party, attending the cast parties called the YMCA Productions. He shouted memories, once seemingly destined for gloom, hope, joy, and growth. Caveat: those scenarios ultimately fell through, but where I did find some help was not in Y plays, but in school plays with first entertainers, but also then in high school with the Lorraine plays. And I gotta give credit where credit is due. I know you're watching, Emily. I know you as Love. I know you've not walked down the aisle, but I know you're out there. And I gotta give credit where credit is due with you. That's just awesome, guys.